Have you ever felt like your happiness is controlled by the people around you? Take a moment to think about it. Maybe it's the way your partner reacts to your ideas, the approval of a friend, or the recognition from your boss that you keep waiting for. How many times have you tied your sense of joy, your peace, your worth, to someone else's actions or words? But let me ask you this, what if you didn't have to? What if the power to feel truly happy, truly fulfilled, was already inside you? Today, we're going to uncover one of the biggest myths we've been taught about happiness, that it depends on others. Because here's the truth, it doesn't. Your happiness depends on you and you alone. Think about how freeing that is. If your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's validation or their unpredictable moods, it means you can control it. You can create it. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean relationships and connections aren't important. We're human after all, and we thrive on connection. But there's a difference between sharing your happiness with others and handing over responsibility for it. In this video, we'll dive into why we've been conditioned to seek happiness outside ourselves, the harm that can cause, and most importantly, how to shift that focus inward. By the end, you'll have practical steps, real-life stories, and a roadmap to reclaim your happiness. So if you've ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle of waiting for someone else to make you feel worthy, loved, or enough, this is your wake-up call. Are you ready to start choosing yourself? Let's get into it. Why do we look to others for happiness? It's not entirely our fault. From the moment we're born, we're wired to seek connection. As children, we rely on parents and caregivers for everything: safety, love, approval. And as we grow, this need for validation doesn't just disappear. It evolves. Think about it. In school, we want good grades to impress teachers. With friends, we crave acceptance to feel like we belong. And in adulthood, it's no different. We seek approval from partners, bosses, even strangers on social media. We're constantly looking outward, asking, am I enough? Here's the problem. When we depend on others to affirm our worth, we give away our power. Let me say that again, we give away our power. Picture this, you've had a fantastic day. You're feeling confident, accomplished, and happy. Then, someone you care about makes a dismissive comment, or your big accomplishment gets ignored. What happens to that joy? It disappears, right? In an instant, it's gone. That's the danger of placing your happiness in someone else's hands. You become a passenger in your own life, allowing others to steer the wheel. And let me tell you, that's a scary place to be because people are unpredictable. Their moods, opinions, and actions aren't always going to align with what you need. Now, let's take a step back. Why do we do this to ourselves? The answer lies in the stories we've been told. Society teaches us that happiness comes from external achievements: a perfect relationship, a high-paying job, a beautiful home. And while there's nothing wrong with those things, they can't fill the void if you're not happy within yourself first. So, how do we break this cycle? How do we stop relying on others and start looking inward for our joy? That's what we'll explore next. Because here's the truth. You are enough just as you are. And the moment you start believing that, everything changes. Let's bring this idea to life with some real stories, the kind that might sound a little familiar. Meet Emily. She's a 29-year-old marketing professional who seems to have it all together. But behind her curated social media posts and her polished office demeanor, Emily is stuck in a relentless cycle. She works late nights, not because she loves her job, but because she craves her boss's approval. She spends hours crafting the perfect Instagram captions, hoping for likes and comments that affirm she's doing life right. One day, she pours her heart into a presentation. Hours of work, a sleepless night, and when she's finally done, her boss says, "This is fine, But I was expecting more. Just like that, Emily feels crushed. Her confidence, her happiness, they vanish in an instant. Why? Because she's tied them to someone else's validation. Now let's talk about Daniel. He's a 42-year-old father of two. The kind of guy who always says yes. Need help moving? Call Daniel. Need someone to cover a shift? Daniel's your guy. He's so focused on making others happy that he's lost sight of himself. One evening, Daniel sits in his car after yet another day of running errands for everyone else. He looks at the clock. It's 9 p.m. and realizes he hasn't eaten dinner, let alone had a moment to breathe. As he stares at his reflection in the rearview mirror, he feels a wave of emptiness. He wonders, when was the last time I did something for me? Now, here's the good part. Both Emily and Daniel found a way out of these cycles. Emily started small. She began journaling every morning, writing down one thing she appreciated about herself. It felt awkward at first, but over time, she realized her value wasn't tied to anyone else's opinions. Daniel, he started saying no. Not to everything, of course, but to the things that drained him without filling him back up. He discovered that setting boundaries wasn't selfish, it was necessary. And in doing so, he found more energy, more peace, and, ironically, better relationships with the people he cared about most. These transformations didn't happen overnight, but they started with a single decision. The decision to choose themselves. And if they could do it, so can you. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how you can take those first steps toward putting yourself first and building a happiness that no one else can take away. Practical steps to take charge of your happiness. Now that we've explored why happiness depends on you and seen real examples of people who reclaimed it, let's focus on how you can do it too. Step 1. Practice gratitude daily. Happiness starts with shifting your focus. Every day, spend 5 minutes writing down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't have to be big moments. They can be as simple as enjoying a good cup of coffee or hearing your favorite song on the radio. Why does this matter? Gratitude rewires your brain to notice the positive. Over time, you'll find joy in things you might have overlooked before. Step 2. Set boundaries without guilt. Remember Daniel? He learned the importance of saying no, and you can too. Here's how. Start small. Decline tasks or favors that don't align with your priorities. Practice saying no respectfully. I'd love to help, but I need to focus on something else right now. Understand that boundaries aren't walls. They're filters that protect your energy. The truth is, every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to yourself. And you deserve better than that. Step 3. Build emotional resilience. Life won't always go your way, but resilience helps you navigate challenges without losing your sense of self. Try these techniques. Journaling. Write about your feelings and reactions. It helps you process emotions instead of bottling them up. Reframing. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Mindfulness. Spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breath. This practice keeps you grounded and present. Step 4. Stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. Whether it's on social media, at work, or in your social circle, it's easy to feel like you're falling short. But here's the thing, you're running your own race. Instead of comparing, celebrate your progress. Look at where you were 6 months ago or a year ago. What have you achieved? What challenges have you overcome? Recognize your growth. It's proof that you're moving forward. Step 5. Prioritize self-care. Self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. Here are some ways to make it a habit. Set aside me time every week, whether it's reading, exercising, or simply relaxing. Take care of your physical health. Eat well, get enough sleep, and move your body. Remember, self-care isn't about luxury, it's about sustainability. You can't pour from an empty cup. Each of these steps is simple, but together, they create a powerful shift. They're not just habits. They're acts of self-respect, reminders that you are in charge of your happiness. And here's the best part. The more you focus on your well-being, the more you'll inspire others to do the same. Your energy, your joy, becomes contagious. In the final chapter, we'll tie everything together and leave you with actionable tips to make these changes stick. Because this isn't just about feeling good for a day. It's about building a life where happiness is always within reach. So here we are, the end of this journey and the beginning of something much greater, your journey to happiness on your terms. Let's recap what we've learned. Happiness doesn't come from others. It comes from within. When you stop relying on external validation and start taking charge of your own joy, you open the door to a life that feels freer, lighter, and more authentic. But as empowering as this sounds, let's be real. It's not always easy. You'll have moments of doubt, days when it feels like the old habits are creeping back in. And that's okay. Growth isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Final tips for lasting happiness. Embrace the process. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a practice. There will always be room to grow, and that's a good thing. Celebrate your small wins along the way. Surround yourself with positive influences. Be mindful of who you allow into your circle. Spend time with people who uplift you, not those who drain your energy. And don't be afraid to let go of toxic relationships. They're not worth your peace. Keep a happiness toolkit. Think of it as your go-to list for tough days. Maybe it's listening to your favorite playlist, going for a walk, or calling someone who makes you laugh. Find what works for you and lean on it. Forgive yourself. You won't get it right all the time, and that's okay. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. Self-compassion is the foundation of lasting happiness. Stay curious. Life is full of possibilities. Try new things, explore your passions, and keep learning about yourself. The more you invest in discovering who you are, the more fulfilling your journey will be. And here's the most important takeaway. You are enough. Right here, right now, just as you are. The world may try to tell you otherwise, but the truth is, your worth isn't up for debate. So, starting today, choose yourself. Choose your happiness. Take small steps every day, and over time, you'll build a life that feels like your own. One filled with joy, purpose, and peace. Now it's your turn. What's one small thing you can do today to prioritize your happiness? Take that step and watch how everything begins to change. Thank you for taking the time to be here, to reflect, and to grow. Remember, the power to be happy has always been in your hands. Go out there and claim it.